Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the Dark Matter finale, Entanglement. Now, the thing that threw me off guard was it felt like it was insanely abrupt, the beginning of this episode. Like, it felt like it just jumped into the middle of a scene where we have this rabid Jason attacking the creator Jason after he fell down the stairs. So that was really strange. It felt like it didn't actually just even start in the episode. Now, it really leans into that multiplicity feel from that Michael Keaton movie with all these Jasons around now, and that every Jason starts messaging Daniela and Charlie. And what ends up happening is Charlie brings them to one of his friends' family's summer house, and that is where most of this finale will take place. I just laughed. I love the line here that Charlie said is my favorite of the episode, where he said, "Are they really all my dad?" I thought that was great. But my main problem with this episode is there is no urgency here. There's no passion, there's no emotion going on. Where I felt that in this episode was actually in the scene with Blair and the two Jasons when she got there. And who even knows what happened to that Blair because they didn't show us. But it was something that was a big problem in this episode for me because we literally see Charlie's making them pancakes. They're reflecting about all these different realities and smiling about it. And then we even get to see them slow dance like they love to do, where there happens to also be a vinyl player there with a song they like, and they play their music and dance. And it was so feeling like a Hallmark movie at this point, which was really, really disappointing. And I feel like for the tension that has built up the past episodes to land on this just didn't match the tone and expectations it was setting up for its audience. Now, Jason will find a folder on his computer that is titled Entanglement, which is the title of this episode, that leads to a link to a message board with all of the Jasons. And I just started laughing at the video where one of them suggests joint custody. Like, how does that work? And then even thinking something like that, when they're debating these things about even like a lottery system, none of them are actually thinking of how Charlie and Daniela feel about all this. And then he's also getting pitches about other Jasons telling him let's team together and take out the other Jasons. But there's just moments you just feel in this episode that move way too slow, especially in a finale. Look at the moment when he's sitting down with a crowbar waiting and paranoid if someone's going to show up, and just how long it takes him from seeing the note about Daniela being at the beach to getting at the beach and for them to start talking. It took about 2 minutes. There's some dialogue I like here, and there's some that are like, okay, like they have him saying, "I loved our life, but sometimes I thought, what if?" And he points out other Jason's what ifs led him to this world, which I liked. But then there's moments where he mentions to Daniela he met the other Daniela that wasn't married, didn't have kids, and she's like, "Was I happy?" He's like, "Hey, you both asked that." And then like the scene just ends. I just didn't think that was great. And even when I'm talking about the tone being off and the pace of it all, no urgency, he mentions to her the message board of all these Jasons, and he brings up the lottery and shared custody idea, and she says, "Wow, holidays would be a nightmare." It's like, okay, like this is where it just felt Hallmark to me, like I said, and there's just no urgency here. This doesn't feel like with Danielle and Charlie, two people who were just seeing their father in so many versions and could be killed at any moment. No, they're enjoying pancakes and making wisecracks. Now, this rabid Jason has a creator Jason tied up, and he's on the hunt for our Jason. He lets this Jason know, though, that his Daniela is dead, but this is where he also confirms that Leighton killed that original Ryan, which I thought was strange because they left that open when Amanda and Jason were like worried about leaving him. She's like, no, 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 like we'll figure it out. But they did not confirm he was killed, so it was annoying that was off screen, just said like that. And I have a lot of problems with how they wrapped up side characters, which I'm going to get to. But in this Jason's timeline, Amanda was killed by a tree. And he's wearing her necklace, so that's really setting up the nice moment I thought, which really worked, where that creator Jason, when he's saying his voice memo of admission of guilt and what he's done wrong, and that he was afraid of love, which I thought was the best part of the episode, he was holding Amanda's necklace because that is the woman he ran away from. And I did like the line here where creator Jason says to this Jason, "I thought you would have loved my life." I thought that was interesting. Now at the house, Blair shows up. So she was lured there by this Jason, the rabid Jason. I love he asks her, "Can you track your car's location?" And she says yes. It didn't occur to me to track. So her car was stolen and she knows she could track it, but I guess now the light bulb went off to actually track it. Now, Blair will use the pepper spray, get the gun. This is the scene I was talking about where I was expecting more tension like this throughout the finale, and I want this intensity and these kind of scenes more with the family themselves. And I really still wanted an intense moment with the two Jasons, our main Jasons, talking to each other, which we really didn't get. And then he even tells her there was one world he was tempted to stay. That's obviously Amanda's world, but he doesn't regret it one bit. So Amanda's completely sidelined here. And we even get to see them tucking Charlie, and they're talking about how we have plans for where we're going to go next. We're going to get there, but they don't have any relatives or friends they can just call. Like, they're stuck here at this vacation home, and then it's wherever they're going to go next. Ugh. And then it gets corny because then Daniela goes on the message board, tells all the Jasons, I don't want a lottery, I choose you, and tells Jason that. I was just like, okay, my eyes were rolling really hard there. Now, there's a Jason who will show up with a shotgun, and these two Jasons wrestle, but Creator Jason kills the one with the shotgun, saving our Jason. This is where he apologizes for the mess he created. So this is the change in that character, and you start to feel a little sympathy for the guy, like I said, especially in his voice memo. I love, though, he explains he used the tracking app that Blair had. I know the other Jasons put a tracking device on the Honda. He didn't realize that. But what the hell happened to her? Like, she had a gun pointed at the two of them. I just want to know, like, how do you not show that? But he sends the family off and gives them back the wedding ring, and he also hooked them up with the ampules and a remembrance of Max. I did really like the line Creator Jason says in this voice memo that he wanted to steal the choices that Jason made. I thought that was nice. And a part of me afraid to risk love, obviously with Amanda, and obviously with Daniela too in his story. So they run into all the Jasons on their way to the box, because now they're going to go to the box. This is their only option, the family, and they've come to say goodbye. And I love one objects. I was waiting for that, but the other points out it's not about him. It's about what she wants. So you're kind of waiting for those Jasons to kind of get that part of it all. But what happens here, what made me so angry about this finale, is they did this small montage at the end, then showing us where all these side characters went. And it's totally not satisfying, especially because a show like this, there was a lot of side characters that had very interesting storylines and important parts of the story, especially Amanda, who was really the main character of Jason in the show, not Daniela. So for her to have such little impact at this point in the season was mind-boggling to me, and how it didn't tie around in any way to Jason's story. The story ended really a story between Jason and Daniela. It had nothing to do with Amanda, and there's a lot of characters who were there just to move the plot along or have something happen in the plot, but they didn't tie into the whole story as a whole in a satisfying way. So Blair, with that B world that was really interesting, is just packing up. That's all we see. There's nothing else to that. Then the Leighton that's just door hopping, I guess he's just going to keep door hopping. And we still don't see the other Leighton, the main Leighton, who was all messed up from going through the door. It was a cliffhanger, I think, the second or third episode. We don't even know what happened to him. That's it. Like, what? And then the one you're all forgetting about is the detective. We saw her early in the season, and then again in the Creator Jason confronting him and was onto him. Never see her again. Now, I'm going to assume that the Ryan that the Creator Jason left out there, that we don't know what happened to him, that maybe he's the one who finds Amanda, and he was actually left in Amanda's world, and that kind of worked out because he's making the drug, and he's like, it almost felt like they were setting up a season 2 in a way, but who knows, because the book's over, so what are we doing here? I'd rather have just had a satisfying ending with Amanda. And they did that Chekhov's gun, and they broke that rule because they showed us the 2 ampules that Jason had left Amanda, and that never comes to fruition. So if they're saving that for a future season, maybe, but that really hurts this season. I just think that was so crazy to me. And isn't there a Ryan who doesn't know who he is? Like, just sitting with his girlfriend. They're like, oh, he thinks he's a mechanic, and he is a mechanic. What went on with him? So they have the Dessens walk out into the door, and it's a walking into the sunset ending. So incredibly disappointing for me, especially because they had all these things set up that were interesting in the season that didn't get payoffs, and it didn't all connect well. It wasn't well thought out, those storylines to connect to make it all feel satisfying. And the lack of urgency here was crazy to me. I mean, I get having it not be like totally chaotic and wild, but you know, we've had the thriller aspect in this show. This show is a mystery thriller, and to just completely make it a reflective ending and the characters just reflecting on everything, and it felt that Hallmark feel, just really, really not a fan of it. But I did think it had some nice moments with Creator Jason. I like how they wrapped his story in the way he was thinking about things, and his narration was really good writing. So it's not all bad to me, but really, really weak and disappointing. So I'm giving this one a 4.8, and it really just hurts my idea of the show as well. I feel like I was a little duped here. I did enjoy most of it, though. I thought it was decent, but ultimately forgettable in the end. So we'll see if they even do a season 2 with Amanda or what the deal is with that. I don't know. But I feel like there was so much potential here to have so many concepts explored. And you had things interesting set up, and just give some more weight to those things and them connect to the overall main story, which they really end up being exposed here is just moving the plot along. So let me know what you thought down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. Check out my interview I just did with the showrunner Blake Crouch, and also check out my interview with Jennifer Connelly. And stay tuned. I will be reviewing House of the Dragon this week, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. And I'll see you next time.